So let us start building our login application. So this is the application that we are targeting, and let us start building that. So first we basically have all these headers and so on within HTML. So let me just copy paste, and probably if the font size is small, what I will do is I will go to my file and let me change the font size in preferences and settings. So going to preferences and settings opens up your default settings, and if you see, the font size default is 14, and basically you cannot go and edit it over here. Okay, so if you try to edit over here, it will give an error message saying you need to edit in the user settings or the workspace settings. So what I will do is I will come to workspace settings, and let me copy this and paste it over here, and let me change the font size to 16. Okay, and let me save it, and you can see the font has increased, font size has increased. So you can close this workspace settings after that, and since you opened the workspace settings, it has opened up the settings.json file, which basically has your settings for the project. If you do not want, you can go ahead and close that, but I will let that be over there. And let me come over here and let me briefly explain what is going on. Okay, so again we are starting with HTML, and all these different content is within your head tag. Okay, so here basically most of the tags within your head tag starts with meta keyword. Okay, so meta means it's a metadata. Okay, so basically these tags tell something about your document. Okay, so they tell something about your index.html document. So these stuff aren't meant to be displayed in browser, but they are meant for search engines and screen readers and SEO and so on. So basically I'm saying I'm using the char set UTF-8, and another I have something called a viewport, and a viewport is nothing but the area that is being displayed to the user. Okay, so if you see the things that we are covering over here, it's not core bootstrap. So what I'm basically doing is I am developing a project, and through the project in bootstrap, and through that project what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain bootstrap, I'm going to explain HTML, I'm going to explain CSS. Okay, so I'm not going to develop a project with only HTML and CSS. Okay, that is one of the main reasons why we are using bootstrap. Okay, because if you are developing a project within HTML and CSS, what happens is that for every small element styling you need to write a ton of CSS classes. Okay, that is very cumbersome, and that is one of the reasons why we are using bootstrap, and that's the reason why bootstrap is so popular. Okay, because it makes your development faster. Okay, if you see the login application without bootstrap, with only HTML and CSS, it will take probably 2 hours. Okay, for a normal developer, but with bootstrap it takes probably 20 minutes, 15 minutes. If you see, the time has come down drastically, because you do not want to specify all the different classes for each and every element, their positioning, alignment and so on. That's very cumbersome. You just write bootstrap class and you get awesome UI. Okay, so that's the reason we use bootstrap. Okay, which I forgot to tell in the last video. Okay, and here and what I'm saying is that why I said that is that basically we are going to cover the projects, we are going to build the projects through bootstrap. Okay, and through that you're going to learn HTML, because it's not like only bootstrap you'll be writing only bootstrap code to develop a bootstrap application. Okay, it's bootstrap is nothing but a class. It gives you a list of classes that you can use in your application. Okay, at the core it's an HTML project, it's an HTML CSS project. Okay, so here you will be importing the bootstrap. Here see, you are importing bootstrap.css, and this bootstrap.css, what it contains is it contains many different bootstrap classes, styling classes. So if you apply them, your project will be quickly up to speed to demo. Okay, so that's the reason we use bootstrap, and we will be primarily concentrating on bootstrap to build applications. Okay, and when you are building bootstrap applications, you'll be using HTML, of course, for a different layout. And whenever you're talking about HTML layout, I'll be going through HTML. And you may need to add your own custom CSS classes on top of the bootstrap classes. So through that, I will be teaching you CSS. Okay, so we will not be going and handling only HTML and CSS alone. It's basically bootstrap, and through bootstrap you will be learning HTML and CSS. Okay, so these contents, they are all part of HTML. Okay, here we have something called a viewport. Okay, so viewport, what is viewport? Viewport is nothing but the area that is being displayed on the screen. Okay, so for example, the viewport for this window is probably 1920 by 1080. If I double click, if I do like this viewport decreases. Okay, so the available area is only this much. Okay, so to see that better in action, what I will do is I will go to my application which I'm gonna build, and let me say F12. And in F12 there is an option here, toggle device toolbar. Just click on that. Okay, so if you click on that, you basically get kind of a tablet, or what do we say, tablet view or a mobile view. So if you can go to this responsive tab and check whatever your phone was. Okay, that's basically because bootstrap is built with mobile applications in mind. So whenever you do anything, you go to your browser and you know that it's working fine in the browser, but what about in any mobile application? Okay, so to check whether your application is working fine in different devices, what you can do is you can go and select these apps. Okay, so in Galaxy SY this will be like that, and here if you see, the dimensions are 360 by 640, and this is the viewport for Galaxy SY. Okay, and if you go for iPad, the application will look like this, which is fine, and the viewport is this one. So why I'm showing you all this is that to know the concept of viewport. So viewport is nothing but the area that you see. Okay, and here basically I'm saying content is nothing but device width. Okay, so whatever the device width, for example, the device width is 1920. Okay, and for an iPhone the device width may be 400. So whatever the device width I am whatever the width of the device, okay, I'm having that as the width of my viewport. Okay, and the initial scale is 1. Okay, if you want you can increase the scale, so that basically zooms into your application. And shrink to fit is no. So that's basically saying, like, when you go from a desktop application to a mobile application, or from a big window to a small window, do you want to shrink the contents? Do you want to reduce the font size and shrink it, or you want to have it that way? So I'm saying it no. Okay, so basically if you see here, the font size and all, they have not increased, they have not decreased. Okay, so whatever you see, okay, so that basically in fact works with only Safari browsers, I guess. So I do not think it has any effect on your Chrome browsers. And then you have something like the name of the document and the author of the document and so on. So these are just for your SE Google search crawlers. Okay, so they're basically for search engines. And then you have the title. Okay, so title basically appears over here, sign in template for bootstrap. And then since you're going to use bootstrap, you need to reference a bootstrap. Okay, so basically I have bootstrap at this particular link, or if you want you can go and use a CDN link as well. Okay, so CDN link is nothing but some, instead of having it in your own project directory, you are fetching it from somewhere else. Okay, probably Google CDN and so on, anything. Okay, so rather than fetching it in your from your own local device, you can specify a CDN, because the size of your application will reduce if you do that way. Okay, because you need not send the bootstrap files from your server to the browser. Okay, so the number of requests to your server will decrease, and that's the reason many will use a CDN. Okay, and I'm having a reference to my sign in class as well. Okay, sign in.css, which is nothing but this. Okay, so that's it with respect to some amount of HTML, and in the next video we will start coding. We'll start writing code, and we'll start writing bootstrap code. Thank you.